Welcome back to the Den of Episodes. I'm Marlo Fox, and this is your cozy little corner of the internet. Grab your cup of coffee or tea, settle into your favorite spot while I stoke the fire. Yes, it's still a bit chilly this week, and let's journey through the Highlands together. The Den of Episodes is an independent fan podcast and is not affiliated with the creators or producers of Monarch of the Glen. Before we dive in, I'll give you some spring news. Down at the pond behind my den, we have a newly mated couple of geese that I have christened Sir Honks-a-Lot and Lady Flapshire. I just noticed them yesterday. Normally, a much larger gaggle of geese are on the pond. However, now it's just these two. And as it's spring, I figured what they're up to. They've decided this is their pond, and I think in a few weeks I will see some goslings. As I drink my coffee in the morning and watch them out the window, they entertain me by chasing off other geese. They're very vocal and cute together. Much happiness to the new couple. I just had a thought, though. Maybe they've been together for years. I mean, they do mate for life. However, I don't know. These two seem like they have the joy of a new couple. That's what I'm going with. Oh, and don't worry. As a fox, I won't go near them. This week on Monarch of the Glen, we had an election, relationship troubles, Duncan taking on a leadership role, and a big event called the Glorious 12th. Episode 7 originally aired on April 9th, 2000. I highly encourage you to watch the show on Amazon Prime, maybe even before listening to the podcast. Our spotlight of the episode is on Hamish Clark, who plays Duncan McKay, Glen Buckle's adorable handyman and sidekick to Golly. Hamish was born July 26, 1965 in Dundee, Scotland. He's currently 60 years old and isn't on Wikipedia, but some other sources I found say he's married to Sophie Clark and they have 3 children. Hamish has 27 acting credits to his name and has done quite a bit of theater work. His portrayal of the gullible, shy, kilt-wearing Duncan is perfect for the show. When Duncan's on the screen, you know you're in for a chuckle. Our ancillary characters this week, I'll just name 4. There's more, but these are the main ones. Alan Smythe, he's back again. If you'll remember, he's Katrina's ex. Justine, Archie's girlfriend, makes an appearance. Mr. Slurpee, he's the driver of an ice cream truck that comes in very handy. And Lenny, he's the head chef for the Flying Fish in London. Before we dive into the episode, I want to tell you about the Glorious 12th. You'll be hearing about this throughout the episode, and it will make a lot more sense if I tell you now. It is August 12th, which is the official start of red grouse shooting season across Scotland and northern England. In certain rural and aristocratic circles, this is practically a holiday. Estates host organized shoots, and restaurants proudly serve the first birds of the season. Red grouse are wild bird, and they stay that way. They don't tolerate captivity well. They stress easily and don't breed reliably. And they eat mainly heather, which isn't something you can just toss into a feeder like chicken grain. They're delicate, particular creatures, not farmyard material. So, that should help you as you hear more about the Glorious 12th. We open the episode not with drama, but with a grouse, minding its own business in the tall grass, blissfully unaware. Cut to the hunting lodge, and Bliss is nowhere to be found. Golly is holding court with a shotgun, while Duncan fumbles nervously with cartridges like a boy trying to look older than he feels. The reason he's nervous is because Golly is giving him a chance to lead the hunt for the day. He gives Duncan some advice. Walk tall, walk straight, and look the world in the eye. Duncan asks who said that, and he throws out a couple of names like William Wallace or Robert Burns. But Golly says no, it was Val Doonican. And Duncan has no idea who that is, and I didn't know either. Now, if you didn't grow up with Val Doonican on the television, let me set the scene. He was an Irish crooner and TV host who became wildly popular from the 60s through 80s on British telly. He wasn't flashy or dramatic, just warm, steady, and comforting. The sort of voice that feels like a cardigan in human form. Honestly, he had exactly the sort of energy we aim for here in the Den of Episodes. If you want to hear what he sounds like, you can look him up on YouTube, and you could look for the song Walk Tall, which is where Golly got his pep talk for Duncan, or a cute song called Paddy McGinty's Goat. Over at Katrina's cottage, she answers the phone looking all businesslike, hair up, tailored suit. We don't know why she's all dressed up yet, but we're about to find out. Out in the hills, we see Hector sniffing his gun with alarming enthusiasm, declaring his love for the smell of cordite in the morning. He reminisces about his first Glorious Twelfth in 1938. If we do the math, that makes him about 4 years old, and I'm not so sure he remembers all that much about it. As for Katrina, we find out she was dressed for business because she's headed to the polling station to vote for herself. Alan Smythe appears. Remember him from a few episodes ago? He's advising her on her chances in the race. He's confident she will secure the OAP vote. OAP stands for Old Age Pensioners. Back at the hunt, Duncan gives a deeply earnest speech to the arriving hunters, and Golly is hovering in the background watching over him. Duncan ends his speech with the immortal rallying cry, "Let's mosey on out." It's not Braveheart, but it's heartfelt. Kill Willie is at the hunt too, despite running against Katrina in the election. When someone mentions bribery involving old malt whiskey, he clarifies that's not corruption, that's politics. And honestly, he might not be wrong. Archie and Lexi take a helicopter to deliver the precious grouse to Archie and Justine's London restaurant. From the air, we see how enormous Glen really is. 13 bedrooms were once mentioned, but to me it looks like it could have 30 bedrooms. Mid-flight, the helicopter develops what the pilot describes as a sore throat, and they're forced to land in the middle of nowhere, beside an ice cream van, of all things. It turns out the nearest railway station is 40 miles away. So yes, the grouse travel to London in an ice cream van, playing cheerful jingles down the motorway. Lexi makes herself at home and appears to eat her way through an entire box of Saturn rockets. That's what we'd call a bomb pop in the US. Meanwhile, back in London at the Flying Fish, Justine is sampling something her chef Lenny has made, perhaps a little too warmly, as her hand lingers on his arm. I wonder what's going on there. Then we have some election shenanigans. Kill Willie and Hector spy on Katrina and Alan like two men in a very low-budget detective agency. Hector would rather be on the moors shooting grouse, but politics waits for no one. Molly votes, and when pressed, declares she voted her conscience before quietly telling Katrina she voted for her and found it very liberating. Later, Katrina and Molly, along with others, head to relieve the beaters from the hunt. They're the people hired to flush out the grouse during the shoot. Katrina needs them to go to the polls and vote before it closes. At the restaurant, Archie finally arrives with a grouse. The restaurant is buzzing, but there's tension in the air. Justine's made changes while Archie was away, including removing his beloved aquarium after a piranha incident. Yes, I did say piranha. Lenny resents Lexi in his kitchen and draws a line in the sand. He says either he goes or she goes. So Justine asks Lexi to leave. She and Archie fight in front of all the customers, and it gets really ugly. Then Mr. Slurpee comes in after he's been drinking a bottle of whiskey out in his van. He makes a spectacle of himself and passes out. Archie takes him back outside, and in the van they talk about life's hinge moments, moments that can affect you for the rest of your life, where Mr. Slurpee talks about marrying the wrong woman, and he advises Archie that maybe instead of Justine, he should turn his attention to Lexi, who he can tell has eyes for Archie. As night falls, the emotional temperature rises everywhere. Katrina invites Alan to stay over on the sofa, of course. On the train back north, Lexi and Archie share a sleeper. While getting ready for bed, we have Lexi in her bra teasing Archie about his Calvin Klein underwear. Later, Lexi, with the boldness from the alcohol she drank, climbs into Archie's bed for a cuddle. She talks him into letting her stay and later wakes him with a kiss, a very passionate kiss that he returns, and then another. He does pull back and tells her that this can't happen. In the morning, she does thank him for being such a gentleman, especially when she was, as she put it, a bit pished. And as for Katrina, she ends up going out to Alan in the middle of the night on the sofa. I'm not sure how far things went, but it looked like, yeah, you can guess. And the next day, we find the totals on the election. It turns out that Katrina won, and Kilwillie is devastated. Archie and Lexi arrive, and he congratulates Katrina on her win. They hug and give each other long, lingering looks. Katrina asks how everything went with Justine, and his look says it all. It looks like Archie has 3 women vying for him, and I'm not sure where his heart is headed. And that concludes episode 7. We can move on to our animal sightings. And we had the red grouse. They were the stars of the show. And I did mention piranhas in reference to Archie's fish tank. It was said in the episode that they were released near London Bridge, but I refuse to believe that. That would be nuts. In our Across the Pond translations this week, we had OAP, Old Age Pensioners, which is basically the age you reach to draw what we refer to in the U.S. as Social Security. We had the word beaters. This is a word used in relation to the red grouse hunting. People walk in a straight line across the moorland to flush out the grouse in the heather so that hunters waiting in stone or tern hides called butts can shoot them. The beaters are paid a day rate and given lunch. This is very much part of the real Highland sporting tradition. On the ice cream van, we had Lexi eating Saturn rockets, which in the U.S. we call bomb pops. And in the U.S., we also refer to that as a popsicle, whereas in the U.K., it is an ice lolly. Isn't that the cutest? I say all Americans start calling them ice lollies. I love it. Molly mentioned a Kaylee after the grouse hunt, and that is spelled Ceilidh. It's a traditional Scottish and Irish social gathering with live folk music and dancing, and I would imagine also lots of food and drink. Lexi mentioned at one point that she was pished, and that's just a cheeky way to say you're drunk. We had the word canny, which is nice or good, and also the words grouse buddy. And a buddy in the UK is a sandwich. You can have a bacon buddy, you could have a ham buddy. Any type of sandwich would be a buddy. And at the end of the episode, we had lots of snogging. And the word snog is British slang for kissing. And where we leave everyone in this episode is Katrina is victorious. Archie is romantically tangled, that's for sure. Justine is hurt and uncertain about her relationship. Lexi seems hopeful. Duncan, well, he walked tall and straight, and he completed his mission of leading the hunt. And somewhere in spirit, Val Doonican is approving very gently. It's an episode about tradition and transition, about politics and partnership, about moments that feel small but change everything. And perhaps most of all, about whether we walk straight when it really matters. Thank you for joining me once again on the Den of Episodes. Be sure to like and subscribe if you haven't. If you'd like to reach out to me, you can at thedenofepisodes@yahoo.com. I've yet to receive anything at that address, but I am patiently waiting. I'm Marlo Fox, and until next time, keep the kettle on and the episodes rolling.